Hello, my name is Gabriela Palacios, and I did my presentation on Lemon Grove versus Alvarez. The people involved were the parents of the children from the school, the Mexican consulate, Roberto Alvarez, the California judiciary system, and the school board of the Lemon Grove district. The background of the issue. Families migrated from Mexico as the rise in agriculture and other industries took place. These industries required manual labor and brought over migrants seeking new opportunities to settle in a successful country. In San Diego, the increase of Mexicans in the state from 1910 to 1920 was 215%, according to the San Diego History Center. Unfortunately, this also brought racism and prejudice among the white Americans in the U.S. President Hoover blames Mexican immigrants for lack of employment among white citizens. He states that 100,000 of these illegal aliens could be deported. California governor issues report that all people of Mexican descent, American-born or not, are all considered aliens. School boards were given a license to segregate schools, and the practice became widespread throughout California and Texas as more schools got more Mexican immigrants. The incident of the Lemon Grove School took place January 1931. The Lemon Grove Grammar School decided to create an Americanization school, also known as a separate building for American students. This was a better way for them to basically put a label on segregation. Principal Jerome Green stood at the entryway of the main school and denied entry to all Mexican-American children. The children were steered toward a run-down building with two classes called the Barnyard, in Spanish. This is a great example of racism used from the district associating children from Mexican descent with farm animals. One of the interesting things I found about this was that out of the 75 students that went to the school that were from Mexican descent, they were all second generation, so they were all born, I think it was like 95% were born in the U.S., so they were all American citizens technically. Parents became extremely angry. The school board expected them to follow blindly like other schools and other parents had in different places, but these parents decided to be brave and to take action. They started to prepare for a legal battle. They went to the Mexican consulate to weigh out their options, and then to the Superior Court of California. This is when the parents officially challenged the schools due to their efforts into segregating white and Mexican students. They eventually organized a lawsuit. The Mexican consulate helped organize a legal team and chose their representative for the case, Roberto Alvarez. Roberto was very well educated and spoke English fluently. A writ of mandate, also known as a petition, was sent to the school saying that they were trying to enforce segregation. The school board's response. The school denied all allegations. The reasons for separate school building was that the school was closer to the Mexican community, which somehow made it safer for the students. The school would better accommodate Mexican students since they were academically behind. They stated that many of the students were just in lower grade levels than the students that their age was. Unfortunately, the school was well equipped to hold 85 students, even though it only had 2 classrooms and was clearly built insufficiently. They also said the children would have been given better instruction if they went to the Americanization school. February 24th, the case went to court. Judge Chambers fought for justice for everyone in his time as a judge. He was very well known for that. He questioned the school board and why they treated the Mexican-American students lesser than white students. On March 30th, he came to the conclusion. The judge was in favor of the students. Quote, I understand that you can separate a few children to improve their education. They need special instruction, but to separate all the Mexicans in one group can only be done by infringing the law of the state of California. And I do not blame the Mexican children because a few of them are behind in schoolwork for this segregation. On the contrary, this is a fact in their favor. I believe that the separation denies the Mexican children the presence of the American children, which is so necessary to learn the English language. Judge Chambers. I chose this quote because it not only reflects Judge Chambers' decision, but he also explains the importance of having ELLs in a classroom with native English speakers. Here's a video of Alvarez reflecting on the case.
One of the important things, I mean, looking back now that I'm older, is that here's a group of people that are fresh out of Mexico, and a lot of them out of Baja California, you know, and they had kids that were born. Things, I mean, looking back now that I'm older, is that here's a group of people that are fresh out of Mexico, and a lot of them out of Baja California, you know, and they had kids that were born here that were American citizens, natural born, and that they were not just wetbacks running around here loose. That they were you know, stern, sturdy people with education that had schooling, and they had the guts and in a strange country to get together and say this is wrong, and they fought it and won. I think that's important.
This is the first successful case against segregation in schools for Mexican American people and immigrants. This case impacts me as an educator because I want to make sure my students have the same advantages as one another when it comes to learning, especially ELLs. Separating English and non-English speakers is not productive to the learning of ELLs. This case is relative today because people still accuse migrants of stealing jobs, including our president. He has unfortunately risen the racists out of their silence by promoting a wall that symbolizes a form of segregation, in my opinion. People outwardly are saying things like build that wall, which is harmful and hurtful to an innocent child who has come here with their family as either a first generation or who was born here as a second generation child for a better life. A better life starts with a better education, and every human deserves that right, no matter what language they speak. And here are my sources. Thank you for listening to my presentation.